Paul's mind had gone on in its chilling precision. He saw the avenues ahead of them on this hostile planet. Without even the safety valve of dreaming, he focused his prescient awareness, seeing it as a computation of most probable futures, but with something more, an edge of mystery, as though his mind dipped into some timeless stratum and sampled the winds of the future. Abruptly, as though he had found a necessary key, Paul's mind climbed another notch in awareness. He felt himself clinging to this new level, clutching at a precarious hold and peering about. It was as though he existed within a globe, with avenues radiating away in all directions, yet this only approximated the sensation. He remembered once seeing a gauze kerchief blowing in the wind, and now he sensed the future as though it twisted across some surface as undulant and impermanent as that of the wind-blown kerchief. He saw people. He felt the heat and cold of uncounted probabilities. He knew names and places, experienced emotions without number, reviewed data of innumerable unexplored crannies. There was time to probe and test, but no time to shape. The thing was a spectrum of possibilities, from the most remote past to the most remote future, from the most probable to the most improbable. He saw his own death in countless ways. He saw new planets, new cultures, people. People. He saw them in such swarms they could not be listed, yet his mind catalogued them, even the guildsmen. And he thought, the guild, there be a way for us, my strangeness accepted as a familiar thing of high value, always with an assured supply of the now necessary spice. But the idea of living out his life and the mind groping ahead through possible futures that guided hurtling spaceships appalled him. It was a way, though. And in meeting the possible future that contained guildsmen, he recognized his own strangeness. I have another kind of sight. I see another kind of terrain, the available paths. The awareness conveyed both reassurance and alarm. So many places on the other kind of terrain dipped or turned out of his sight. As swiftly as it had come, the sensation slipped away from him, and he realized the entire experience had taken the space of a heartbeat. Yet his own personal awareness had been turned over, illuminated in a terrifying way. He stared around him. Night still covered the still tent with its rock-enclosed hideaway. His mother's grief could still be heard. His own lack of grief could still be felt, that hollow place somewhere separated from his mind, which went on in its steady pace, dealing with data, evaluating computing, submitting answers in something like the Mentat way. And now he saw that he had a wealth of data few such minds ever before had encompassed. But this made the empty place within him no easier to bear. He felt that something must shatter. It was as though a clockwork control for a bomb had been set to ticking within him. It went on about its business no matter what he wanted. It recorded minuscule shadings of difference around him, a slight change in moisture, a fractional fall in temperature, the progress of an insect across their still tent roof, the solemn approach of dawn in the starlight patch of sky he could see out of the tent's transparent end. The emptiness was unbearable. Knowing how the clockwork had been set in motion made no difference. He could look to his own past and see the start of it, the training, the sharpening of talents, the refined pressures of sophisticated disciples, even exposure to the OC Bible at a critical moment. And lastly, the heavy intake of spice. And he could look ahead, the most terrifying direction, to see where it all pointed. I'm a monster, he thought. A freak. No, he said. Then, no. 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 He found that he was pounding the tent floor with his fists. The implacable part of him recorded this as an interesting emotional datum and fed into it computation. Paul. His mother was beside him, holding his hands, her face a gray blob peering at him. Paul, what's wrong? You, he said. I'm here, Paul, she said. It's all right. What have you done to me? He demanded. In a burst of clarity, she sensed some of the roots in the question. Said, I gave birth to you. It was, from instinct as much as her own subtle knowledge, the precisely correct answer to calm him. He felt her hands holding him, focused on the dim outline of her face. Certain gene traces in her facial structure were noted in a new way by his on-flowing mind, the clues added to other data, and a final summation answer put forward. "Let go of me," he said. She heard the iron in his voice, obeyed. "Do you want to tell me what's wrong, Paul?" "Did you know what you were doing when you trained me?" he asked. There's no more childhood in his voice, she thought, and she said, "I hope the thing any parent hopes, that you'd be superior, different, different." She heard the bitterness in his tone, said, "Paul, you didn't want a son," he said. "You wanted a Kwisatz Haderach. You wanted a male Bene Gesserit." She recoiled from his bitterness. "But Paul, did you ever consult my father in this?" She spoke gently out of the freshness of her grief. "Whatever you are, Paul, the heredity is as much your father as me. But not the training," he said. "Not the things that awakened. The sleeper." "Sleeper?" "It's here." He put a hand on his head and then to his breast. "In me. It goes on and on and on. And Paul." She heard the hysteria edging her voice. "Listen to me," he said. "You wanted the Reverend Mother to hear about my dreams? You listen in her place now. I've just had a waking dream. Do you know why?" "You must calm yourself," she said. "If there's the spice," he said. "It's in everything here. The air, the soil, the food, the geriatric spice. It's like the truth-sayer drug. It's a poison." She stiffened. His voice lowered and he repeated, "A poison. So subtle, so insidious, so irreversible. It won't even kill you unless you stop taking it. We can't leave Arrakis unless we take part of Arrakis with us." The terrifying presence of his voice brooked no dispute. "You and the spice," Paul said. "The spice changes anyone who gets this much of it, but thanks to you, I could bring the change to consciousness. I don't get to leave it in the unconscious, where its disturbance can be blanked out. I can see it." "Paul, I see it," he repeated. She heard madness in his voice, didn't know what to do. But he spoke again, and she heard the iron control return to him. "We're trapped here. We're trapped here," she agreed, and she accepted the truth of his words. No pressure of the Bene Gesserit, no trickery or artifice could pry them completely free from Arrakis. The spice was addictive. Her body had known the fact long before her mind awakened to it. "So here we live out our lives," she thought, "on this hell planet. The place is prepared for us if we can evade the Harkonnens, and there's no doubt of my course. A broodmare preserving an important bloodline for the Bene Gesserit plan." "I must tell you about my waking dream," Paul said. Now there was fury in his voice. "To be sure, you accept what I say. I'll tell you first, I know you'll bear a daughter, my sister, here on Arrakis." Jessica placed her hands against the tent floor, pressed back against the curving fabric wall to still a pang of fear. She knew her pregnancy could not show yet. Only her Bene Gesserit training had allowed her to read the first faint signals of her body, to know of the embryo only a few weeks old. "Only to serve," Jessica whispered, clinging to the Bene Gesserit motto. "We exist only to serve." "We'll find a home among the Fremen," Paul said, "where your Missionaria Protectiva has bought us a bolt hole." "They've prepared a way for us in the desert," Jessica told herself. But how can he know of the Missionaria Protectiva? She found it increasingly difficult to subdue her terror at the overpowering strangeness in Paul. He studied the dark shadow of her, seeing her fear in every reaction with his new awareness, as though she were outlined in blinding light. A beginning of compassion for her crept over him. "The things that can happen here, I cannot begin to tell you," he said. "I cannot even begin to tell myself, although I've seen them. This sense of the future, I seem to have no control over it. The thing just happens. The immediate future, say a year, I can see some of that. A road as broad as our central avenue on Caladan. Some places I don't see. Shadowed places. As though it went behind a hill. And again he thought of the surface of a blowing kerchief. And there are branchings." He fell silent as memory of seeing that filled him. No prescient dream, no experience of his life has quite quite prepared him for the totality with which the veil had been ripped away to reveal naked time. Recalling the experience, he recognized his own terrible purpose, the pressure of his life spreading outward like an expanding bubble, time retreating before it. Jessica found the tense glow tab control, activated it. Dim green light drove back the shadows, easing her fear. She looked at Paul's face, his eyes, the inward stare, and she knew where she had seen such a look before. Pictured in records of disasters, on the faces of children who experienced starvation or terrible injury. The eyes were like pits, mouth a straight line, cheeks indrawn. It's the look of terrible awareness, she thought, of someone forced to the knowledge of his own mortality. He was, indeed, no longer a child. The underlying import of his words began to take over her mind, pushing all else aside. Paul could see ahead a way of escape for them. There's no way to evade the Harkonnens, she said. The Harkonnens, he sneered. Put those twisted humans out of your mind. He stared at his mother, studying the lines of her face in the light of the glow tab. The lines betrayed her. She said, you shouldn't refer to people as humans without. Don't be so sure you know where to draw the line, he said. We carry our past with us. And mother mine, there's a thing you don't know, and should. We are Harkonnens. Her mind did a terrifying thing. It blanked out as though it needed to shut off all sensation, but Paul's voice went on at that implacable pace, dragging her with it. When next you find a mirror, study your face. Study mine now. The trace is over there if you don't blind yourself. Look at my hands, the set of my bones. And if none of this convinces you, then take my word for it. I've walked the future. I've looked at a record. I've seen a place. I have all the data. We're Harkonnens. Renegade branch of the family, she said. That's it, isn't it? Some Harkonnen cousin who... You're the Baron's own daughter, he said, and watched the way she pressed her hands to her mouth. The Baron sampled many pleasures in his youth, and once permitted himself to be seduced. But it was for the genetic purposes of the Bene Gesserit, by one of you. The way he said you struck her like a slap, but it set her mind to working, and she could not deny his words. So many blank ends of meaning in her past reached out now and linked. The daughter of Bene Gesserit wanted. It wasn't to end the old Atreides Harkonnen feud, but to fix some genetic factor in their lines. What? She groped for an answer. As though he saw inside her mind, Paul said, They thought they were reaching for me, but I'm not what they expected, and I've arrived before my time, and they don't know it. Jessica pressed her hands to her mouth. Great Mother, he's the Kwisatz Haderach. She felt exposed and naked before him, realizing then that he saw her with eyes which little could be hidden, and that, she knew, was the basis of her fear. You're thinking I'm the Kwisatz Haderach, he said. Put that out of your mind. I'm something unexpected. I must get word out to one of the schools, she thought. The mating index may show what has happened. They won't learn about me until it's too late, she said. She sought to divert him, lowered her hands and said, We'll find a place among the Fremen. The Fremen have a saying they credit to Shai Hulud, Old Father Eternity, he said. They say, be prepared to appreciate what you meet. And he thought, yes, mother mine, among the Fremen. You acquire the blue eyes and a callus behind your lovely nose from the filter tube of your stillsuit. And you'll bail my sister, Saint Alia of the Knife. If you're not the Kwisatz Haderach, Jessica said. What? You couldn't possibly know, he said. You won't believe it until you see it. And he thought, I'm a seed. He suddenly saw how fertile was the ground into which he had fallen, and with this realization, the terrible purpose filled him, creeping through the empty place within, threatening to choke him with grief. He had seen two main branchings along the way ahead. In one, he confronted an old, evil baron and said, Hello, grandfather. Thought of that path and what lay along it sickened him. The other path held long patches of gray obscurity, except for few peaks of violence. He had seen a warrior religion there, a fire spreading across the universe with the Atreides green and black banner waving at the head of fanatic legions drunk on spiced liquor. Gurney Halleck and a few others of his father's men, a pitiful few, were among them, all marked by the hawk symbol from the shrine of his father's skull. I can't go that way, he muttered. That's what the old witches of your schools really want. I don't understand you, Paul, his mother said. He remained silent, thinking like the seed he was, thinking with the race consciousness he had first experienced his terrible purpose. He found that he no longer could hate the Bene Gesserit, or the Emperor, or even the Harkonnens. They were all caught up in the need of their race to renew its scattered inheritance, to cross and mingle and infuse their bloodlines in great new pooling of genes. And the race knew only one sure way for this, the ancient way, the tried and certain way that ruled over everything in its path. Jihad. Surely I cannot choose that way, he thought. But he saw again in his mind's eye the shrine of his father's skull, and the violence with the green and black banner waving in its midst. Jessica cleared her throat, worried by his silence. Then the Fremen will give us sanctuary. He looked up, staring across the green-lighted tent at the inbred patrician lines of her face. Yes, he said. That's one of the ways, he nodded. Yes, they'll call me Muad'Dib, the one who points the way. Yes, that's what they'll call me. And he closed his eyes, thinking, now, my father, I can warn you. And he felt the tears coursing down his cheek.